It is the Blue Room Weekly, and it is me, Warren, with another one, and a fairly important one to talk about following as we record at the time of recording. We are some nearly 24 hours since the Merseyside derby last night, a quite spicy, quite spiky Merseyside derby. And I'm joined by the one and only Matt Jones tonight, who, in a bit of a reversal, because Matt's the one who always does the presenting. And if you're listening to our show regularly or you listen to our podcast regularly, Matt does the brilliant Byline show with Paddy Boylan. So, Matt, tonight, I'm going to be you and you're going to be Paddy. I'm going to give you the opportunity to have a little bit of a discussion tonight rather than the other way around. So I don't know how comfortable you are about that comparison, but I'm going to give it to you anyway.
Not at all. Trying to be Paddy Boylan is ominous, but no, mate, it's good to be. I've been dying to talk about this game. It's because 24 hours, didn't do post match, done no shows today, and I've just been waiting to just unleash.
We've just been talking off air, haven't we? Yeah, we've just been talking off air there, and you were saying that you've been so busy yourself last night and today that you haven't had a chance to talk about it. And I thought this would be a real good opportunity. So, like I said, Matt, 24 hours on, taking the context out of the fact that it was a derby for me, I thought it was a really good Everton performance and a really good point in the end. But just your reflections on it initially, first of all, because it was one hell of a night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think my first reflections are it's that emotional thing you just said there, and it's all after 97:05 or whatever it is, isn't it? Where your mind goes to straight away. And I've been thinking about this a lot today, and in some respects, I feel like it's the most Everton way we could have concluded that game. I don't think it would have been very Everton if that was a winner. If you get what I mean, we don't win Merseyside derbies, and to score a last minute win, it just feels so un-us and so un-Goodison Park, certainly in my lifetime. So for it to be a draw felt very Everton. Where it was in the ground, that street end, is very Everton. The fact that it was a centre arch just walloping it felt very Everton. All these mad little ricochets and moments that led up to the goal felt quite Everton as well. And obviously the kick-off at the end and the way in which it all spilled over, and we had the ugly scenes in inverted commas. It just felt so us and so Goodison Park. And I think that at times we sort of look at social media and football and say, is it necessarily a good thing? Obviously we've seen actually the worst side of it today with the stuff around the Doucoure and the racist abuse he's got. But I think also in the past 24 hours, I've just loved seeing all the footage has been captured and the intricacies of it all and the way in which the brawl's been analysed and Pickford's knee slide and the certain reactions of different fans and the lad with the corner flag. And it's just saying, maybe it's just a wonder, Warren. Imagine if we had social media when we to this extent when we won 3-0 or when we had the Carsley derby. How many little moments at Goodison Park have we missed out on that have just sort of fallen through the cracks because we didn't have the technology to see them? And last night we did. It's there. It's going to be documented forever. And I think it sort of made me peace before 97:05 with the result and losing and sort of thinking that we done about as much as possible in the circumstances and played about as well as I could really have imagined us doing, given the circumstances, which I'm sure we'll get into from the course of the show. And I was ready to not be happy with it, but accept it and say fair play to Moyes and fair play to those players to give it a really good go. And then all of that logical thinking kind of just goes out the window, doesn't it? Because you've got that moment, you've got that reaction, and you've got the chaos of full time. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. Very, very emotional, certainly when it happened, and watching it all last night, and it was quite funny, I think, watching it all today and seeing the reaction to it all.
I think the reactions of both of us, you're speaking there with smiles on our faces. I think that says it all about the reactions that have been today. And I do want to later on, Matt, talk about Goodison, because I've read a few things today and I've seen a few comments about how it was more of a send-off for Goodison in a way, and it was more of a game for Goodison and for the fans and what Goodison and the fans and the Merseyside derby means to us. So I would like to touch on that, but I just want to go back to about the result itself. And what I've tried to do today, Matt, is I've really tried to take the emotion and the context out of the fact that it was Liverpool, the fact that it was the final Merseyside derby. And I think Everton went into that game with a really good game plan. I don't feel like Liverpool ever threatened too much or looked. It didn't feel like it was wave after wave of Liverpool attack and we were hanging on at any point. And I think Dave summed it up quite well on post-match when he said, when you've got players of the quality of Salah and others around them, it only takes one opportunity into the back of the net, something that we unfortunately lack at this moment in time. But like I said, I thought the game itself, taking everything out of the equation, Everton played really, really well. And I think it was a well-earned point. And let's say we get a draw in a couple of weeks' time when we play Arsenal, when they've still got to come to town and to come to Goodison. And I think if we were offered a draw against a team like Arsenal, who are second in the league at the moment, not saying that everyone would take it. Of course, some people would hope we get a win. But to play a team like Liverpool in that top end of the league, or at the top of the league, who've basically dominated the Premier League, it has to be said, and doesn't look like there's many challenges around them. I was just really proud of Everton last night, and I think 4 to 6 weeks ago we wouldn't have been able to say that. I don't want to go on about the safety aspect and the relegation aspect, because I think there's more shows to talk about that coming up, and the season will pan out the way it will pan out. But is this a real credit to David Moyes and the team, the way we set up last night and the way we performed? Because as I said, I thought we were brilliant.
Yeah, I think you've seen the value of Moyes in these 4 games, and I don't want to like dunk on the previous manager by any means, but I think that the thing that we said about Moyes and hoped about Moyes when he came in was that he would be able to do a lot of the stuff that the Dice did, but would just have that extra bit of nuance, be it in attack and getting his team creating chances, or having to adapt to difficult situations. And you can go back to his first spell and think about the amount of times we didn't have a centre forward, and we'd find a way. The amount of times he'd have to play, central midfielders out wide or centre backs are full backs, and we'd find a way to be competitive. And that's what we've done, isn't it, over the past few weeks? Maybe that Bournemouth game aside, and the context is mad, because if you think about the weekend, Liverpool played a scratch side, effectively, didn't they, at Plymouth? They made 10 changes, I think, for the game last night from that. Obviously, we played against a really good Bournemouth side and we're pretty much at full strength. And my heart did. I was looking forward to the game all day, and then when those teams came out and I looked at their bench and they were at full strength, like the only players they had out injured, or the only player they had out injured was Joe Gomez, who's not been getting in their squad anyway. Other than that is their full strength squad, not just their full strength team, full strength 11. That was their full strength squad, and the fact that they were able to change 5 outfield players in the second half against the tired Everton team was, against any Everton team really, was an advantage in itself. But when you consider we didn't have Calvert-Lewin, didn't have Chimiti, didn't have Breuer, didn't have Mangala, didn't have Patterson, didn't have Coleman, and then obviously we lose Ndiaye, who I think was really grown into the game at that point as well. I think he was really starting to give them problems. Obviously, he's winning a lot of free kicks. We get the first goal from a free kick he wins, and to lose him as well, for Everton to be in that situation where they've effectively got 8 first-team players unavailable against the best team in the country's squad, and to come away from it going, we're probably the better side. That is quite remarkable, I think, and it's probably not been spoken about enough, certainly in the 24 hours since, because of the way in which it finished. And you're right, like the managers deserve so much credit for that. It's about the game plan and the work that's being done on the training pitch in those 3 or 4 days you've had since Bournemouth. And I was surprised by some of their changes, really. Gravenberch coming off, who's been probably after Salah their best player this season, and Everton just snuffed him out. And I think by snuffing him out, Moyes obviously identified the fact that he's the one who all their players have been going through this season. And just to get around him with, put Doucoure in front of him, put another midfielder behind him, and just cut off that supply line. And it worked so well, didn't it? And to limit them effectively to 2 chances in the game, which obviously they took 2, is an amazing effort, I think. And the manager, deserves a lot of credit for that. I think he used the phrase after the Brighton game, Warren, about Moyes just has to put blood back into our veins, and it feels like that, doesn't it? Last night, seeing all those scenes, and amongst all that, seeing David Moyes so delighted and giving it loads and cupping his ears to the Goodison crowd, it just brings a smile to your face, doesn't it? And maybe on the Dice, given it was so pragmatic and so matter of fact, we kind of lost that connection, really. And this season, more than any, with it being the last one at Goodison, it's something we need to embrace. And I think Moyes has helped us do that. So I think emotionally, tactically, he's been fantastic. And to be sitting here with 10 points from his first 5 games in charge, one of which was a day or 2 after he was appointed, ridiculous start and ridiculous the way Everton were so competitive in that game last night, I thought.
Yeah, he's definitely give us an impetus back in, and there's a fighting spirit there. And I know listening to the Battle of Brighton, which he went through with Paddy and all the scenes that he had, from the press box, and it was great to listen to that insight and watching the melee at the end. Again, it was nice to have that Everton to a degree. It looked very much like an Everton squad and an Everton team, and everyone involved with the club, from the backroom staff, the coaching staff, all committed to the same thing. And to see everyone sticking up for each other at the end, I'm not saying that's never been there, but you certainly think that it's been questioned. It's been questioned whether the fight's there, or whether the players really cared as much, or the people behind the scenes really cared as much. And it was there to see for everyone last night. And I mean, to see Doucoure just shushing Van Dijk, I think was magnificent. For all he got sent off, and I know we'd rather him not have been sent off, but I just think little things like that mean so much to us fans as well. And I did mention before, Matt, about it being a fitting end to Goodison seeing a Merseyside derby. I mean, like you said, I think it kind of felt like the right thing in the end that we didn't get beat. We would have loved to have seen a goal and a winner. That didn't quite happen. But I've read some wonderful pieces from national journalists today and national publications today about how it felt old school and it felt like a proper derby of years gone by. It wasn't dictated by any sort of technical or tactical nuances. It was dominated by pride, by passion, by commitment from both sets of players, both sets of fans. And I think for the way it ended, it really set up the last 6 games for me at Goodison that we're going to have now. And whereas we were maybe a little bit disappointed and not particularly looking forward to this season, we can go into these final 6 games, I feel now at Goodison, really looking forward to each and every one. And it was, like I said, a fitting end to a Merseyside derby at Goodison. And not to big myself up a little bit here, Matt, but I am going to. When I did my old...
We're all feeling great about ourselves, so now is the time to do it, yeah.
That was I was just going to say, when I did my old New Borough Blue with Les, I talked about Goodison as being my favourite thing about Everton, and everything that I mentioned in that show about the smells, the sights, the sounds, the noise levels, the fans, everything you hear on a match day, that was all encapsulated for me last night. It's going to be hard to replicate that at Bramley Moor, but what a way to finish at Goodison, a Merseyside derby at Goodison. It was just magic when that goal went in and how everyone reacted, and some of the videos we've seen today since. Were you there? I know you were there. Were you there?
No, I was working, so I missed it, unfortunately. I'll cross it, yeah.
From watching on the sidelines and from the videos you've seen today, how important was it that goal went in, and how good a send-off was it for Goodison Park?
Yeah, it was just like I said, if we'd lost, I wouldn't have been sat here like devastated necessarily, because like we played well. It just I suppose it's one of those things you don't know how important it is until it happens, really, and seeing all the reaction to it, and it's compounded by the way in which Liverpool heads have fallen off collectively as well, isn't it? That makes it all the more sweet. And Van Dijk whining to TNT afterwards about it being cup finals. It is the proverbial chef's kiss, that kind of thing, isn't it? Like I read a really good piece today from people. Not surprised I'm bigging up Joe at the Echo, but he made a great point about how Goodison's been, even when Everton have been in like their absolute worst state in the last 5-10 years or so, and Liverpool have been consistently one of the best teams in Europe and challenging for titles. It has still been like a leveler in these situations, and I don't know if it's a combination of us raising our game as fans and then the players subsequently as well, or whether they come to Goodison Park and just feel a little bit intimidated and don't quite perform as well as they can. But when you think they've only won 2 of the last 13 derbies at Goodison, and you think about the disparate, like the difference between the two sides in that time and what they've been able to do, what we've been able to do, and you compare that to, say, someone like Man United, and you look at what Liverpool have gone there so many times in that same time period and battered them 5-0, battered them 3-0 this year. There's been loads of occasions where they've just gone and swept them aside. There's been the odd tight game as well, maybe the odd one United have nicked, but there's been a lot of heavy wins for Liverpool as well in that time. Like, that's why Goodison is so great, because in those occasions it can be a leveler, and obviously we have got to give that up for the hopes that we can get to a position where we're more competitive and maybe celebrating more wins against Liverpool further down the line. But there is, I think we there's a lot of analysis and there's a lot of data in the game these days, which I think enriches it massively. But sometimes it's just about those intangible little things, isn't it? And sometimes a place it's just special. And I think Slot actually, it was interesting in his pre-match press conference, he sort of brought up the fact that I don't think he was necessarily having a go at us or by any means, but he sort of said Liverpool gave away 10 fouls, I think, in the first 20 minutes of the last game. And you imagine that would have been in his team so before the game to Liverpool about staying calm and not giving away free kicks. But it's one thing saying it before the match, and then when you're in that atmosphere and you can get caught up in it as an opposition player, it's a totally different thing to not do it. And I think that's kind of what Goodison does. I imagine Liverpool teams have gone into Goodison Park derbies with like the best intentions in the world over the past 10, 15 years. I think we're going to keep calm today. We're going to keep our heads. We're going to make sure we use the ball. We're going to make sure our quality shows. But actually doing it when you've got 39,000 Evertonians screaming at you, you've got, people telling you. There's some great audio on BT last night where people were about to take corners. You could hear Evertonians going, "You're fucking shite, you lad," and stuff like that. Doing it in that atmosphere is completely different. It's so much more difficult than what you'd say beforehand, isn't it? So yeah, it's sort of rambled on a little bit there, but yeah, obviously now sitting here, you're thinking it couldn't.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? Goodison was at its visceral best last night, and I think we've all, me and you both, have been to derby games before at Goodison, and there's always that you said element of raising your game as a fan. You're a bit loud, you're a bit more angry, I suppose. You're a bit more passionate about it because of what the game represents and what the game is. But it was like a whole new level last night, and I remember McAllister going for a corner or going to take a throw in on a corner, and the abuse the Lower Bullens / Gladys Street was giving him was just, I've never seen that level of anger and sort of rivalry before. And I think Goodison took it to a new level last night. And I think ultimately it's little things like that that get you over the line. And that's what got us, I believe, that point in the end. And I know a lot of people have said that, they missed the goal and whatever, but the ones who stayed made it just a glorious moment. And I'm so happy. Les commented on this on the post-match. I'm just so happy that was the goal. That was the last ever Merseyside derby goal at Goodison. It would have been horrible if it was like a draw and they scored the last minute, equaliser. It's great that it's us. And for all the celebration police out there who said we can't celebrate it, they obviously don't know what it's like to be a football supporter in the ground. So we'll leave it there. We won't result.
Do you not find that stuff infuriating? In the sense, it's just like you see all that and you think, if you're not in this for that, like what's the point? Everton are a mid-table to bottom half team who have had no trophies or anything to celebrate down the years. Like you've got to latch onto those moments, and it's not like it was overblown either. Like you said, like the emotional factor, and just like the way in which the board fell to Tarkowski, and the nature of the goal and celebrations got a street end. You're gonna lose your mind. It's just how it is. Like anyone who's been in the ground and has experienced, I suppose people haven't experienced anything quite like that, but something similar to that, you just lose the plot. It's not one of them where you're thinking, right, let's take stock here. It's only a point. We haven't beaten them. It's absolutely ridiculous, and the carry on over some of it's been ridiculous. But in fairness, Warren, I think a lot of the stuff you see from Reds who've probably never been to Anfield, never been to an away game in their lives. I imagine most people who go to the game will resonate with that. I mean, bloody hell, how many late goals have they had down the years to snatch draws or snatch wins, and you've seen them all go berserk, and you don't begrudge them that because it's an amazing feeling. It just so happened to be ours last night, and certain sections, their fan base, certainly the ones that don't go to the game and follow it on Twitter, maybe just can't quite handle it.
And I'm like you, I don't understand that at all. I read a piece today from Max Rushton in The Guardian. Max Rushton, former Soccer AM presenter and TalkSport presenter as well. And he was just he was it was quite a emotional piece from him actually, because he was relating it to the fact that he's had some personal, upsetting news in his life, and he was just saying about how it's so good to see such joy on such a simple thing. And I think you're right. I mean, look, without going sounding too deep here, life's tough enough as it is. And if we can find joy from things like football and, other things that we all, hobbies or whatever, then why not? Why not celebrate and get the most out of it? And I just thought it was a great way from our point of view, from an Everton point of view, for it to finish that way. And, it was just lovely to see them scenes when the goal went in. The fella with the corner flag, as we talked about. I don't know if you've seen the video today. I can't stop laughing at it when it's the one where Pickford knee slides and the fella who's taking it turns around to the park end, and there's some fella just wheeling away, running down, celebrating with his arm in the end, doing the
Alan Shearer celebration.
Oh, I've just been laughing at that all day. I've just thought, what a guy. I hope he's had a brilliant day, that fella. But listen, it was whilst it was a great derby and a great atmosphere, I think Moyes described it as the place was boiling hot. That did, unfortunately for us, happen. Well, what came of it was a few injuries again to the squad, and you reeled off 8 players there, Matt. And I'd love to see how Liverpool did without. I know they've still got a great squad beyond that, but I'd love to see how they do without 8 of their best players. But our best player, seemingly from photos that are doing the rounds today, on crutches, doesn't look healthy for Ndiaye, and that's a concern going into the next few games, isn't it? That if someone like him is injured, then Moyes has got to go to the well again and try and bring out the best in other players. But is this an opportunity now maybe for Jack Harrison, and is Moyes the right manager to coach him into this team now?
Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? And I thought he was all right, Harrison, when he came on last night.
I agree, yeah.
I thought people having a bit of a go at him, but I thought he was just fine. Just I think his touch was good, worked hard. His final ball wasn't always great or always there, but his primary job was to be defensive and be combative, and he did that. And listen, we've already seen, haven't we, since Moyes come in, redemptive arcs for players. Jake O'Brien, massive. Lindstrom, massive one.
Betto.
There's been players, those two, yeah. Oh my God, Betto, yeah, of course. You look at it in January and you're thinking, my God, we'll take anything we can for him, and all of a sudden he's got 3 goals in his last 2 games in the Premier League, and it's a bit of a derby, doing laps of the pitch, wasn't he? Just mad. There's so many mad moments, but
I love this quotes today, Matt, about, I don't know if you've seen them, about it. Always the fans always saying, "Come on, Betto lad, come on, Betto lad," and he said, every time it's lad at the end of it. He said, but I don't care. I just love it, and things like that, just sentiments and all that, and the feeling towards a player who's maybe lacks that quality. He's been given that love now, hasn't he? And hopefully, like we said, it's a redemption op. But yeah, carry on what you were saying. Sorry.
It's Harrison's got to look at them, hasn't he, and think, now I want to contribute. And in fairness, when he came on against Bournemouth the other week, he did well too, didn't he? Obviously a bit more of an attacking sense, but he was fine last night. And I think the other thing, and that sort of ties into the Harrison stuff maybe, and what you're saying about Beto's quotes, which I thought were quite interesting, were, he made a point of saying that the coaching staff have been working with me on in training and showing me areas I can improve. And it sort of felt like with him at times that he was just a bit of a spare part, and he was just plugged in. And it was like, right, you're just going to fit in with how we play, which is lashing into the channels. You've got to win headers and do all the stuff that maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a bit better than you are. And in the last few games, do you think that first goal even happens if we've got Dyche? Because think about where the free kick is. And again, I don't want to dunk on the manager. It's just a difference in style. But if you think about where that free kick was, who's taking that free kick under the previous manager? It's Pickford, isn't it? It's everyone in the box. It's angled to the back post for Tarkowski to head it, and we're trying to pick something up. Whereas Branthwaite actually gets to the ball and he takes a couple of steps. He goes to pass it a couple of times, and then sees Betto make the run and plays the ball along the floor and beyond. I just don't think that happened. And there's the subtle differences. It's Branthwaite taking the time to figure out what's Betto's best attributes. He's running behind here. I'll play the pass. And maybe we can do a bit of that with Harrison as well. Maybe not to say quite the same extent, but it's getting players on the training pitch and working with them and reminding them what they're good at, and then setting up the team to try and get the best out of them. And it didn't feel like that happened quite as much as it should to benefit players in the past. But I mean, I think the issue is like, what are we looking at Saturday? It's going to be 8 players out injured and Doucoure suspended. So we're looking at 9 first-team players we've not got available when you go through them all. But listen, Alcaraz will come in where you'd imagine it'll probably be either him or Irabunum will come into midfield to replace Doucoure, and then you've got Harrison on the left. It's just going to be the bench, isn't it? And then a situation where, who'd you bring on? Like, genuinely, who is it to bring on now and change the game from an attacking point of view? You've got Ashley Young who can play wide, and that's it. Like that you've got Sheriff, you've got Heath, who are kids who've not played any minutes at all, who were on the bench last night, and then Irabunum potentially in midfield if he doesn't start. That's it, isn't it? Like, that is literally it. Like, until we get McNeil or Ndiaye or anything back. Or maybe Patterson could come on and you could push Lindstrom further forward. I don't know, but like it's just going to be one of those. But what I would say is that I would back Moyes to sort of find a way to get us through games and get us points, even with the squad being as threadbare as it is, because he's shown he can do it throughout his career as a coach. I think it's going to be probably be tough over the next few weeks. I think there'll be games which we ultimately end up losing because we've just not got quite enough to get us through and to rotate. I think Saturday will be really tough, like after Wednesday, and with the squad we've got and Sellers Park under the lights for them. So it's going to be tough, but listen, 10 points clear of the relegation zone. We've given ourselves a great buffer there, and confidence will be sky high. Like, everybody in that squad will be buzzing after Wednesday night, and the players coming in, Harrison and Alcaraz, will be thinking, this is our chance to get in the team and get involved in this thing, having been maybe a little bit on the periphery. So yeah, it's not ideal. We all love Ndiaye, don't we? And he was doing really well again last night. He started to find a goal scoring touch. Let's hope it's just precautionary. I've seen a few rumours about it being 6 weeks. I'll probably take that now. I don't know about you. Like, looking at it, if someone said he's going to be out for 6 weeks, I'd probably be fine with that, given how it looks. Sort of fear in the worst.
I think I'm more fine with it now that you've said about you've just mentioned there about the fact that we are now 10 points clear of the relegation zone, and it will be tough for any team to below us.
Well, I think so.
Yeah, and there's chances for players to come back from injury in that time as well. So if it was, obviously we hope it is just precautionary and he's fine, and he'll be back within a couple of weeks. But who knows? We'll wait for the prognosis on that. Just on the free kick as well, quickly before we move on to talk about the Palace game on Saturday. Charlie Adam masterclass has to be said. Free kick. I thought it looked planned. I really did. I just thought the way they delayed it and the way they thought about it, and Beto's quick movement. I think Betto could make that movement and it not get spotted. I think they were looking for it, and then it just happened so quickly. I thought it was it did look planned to me, and if it was, then fair credit to Mr. Charlie Adam, who I never thought I'd praise on an Everton podcast, but there we go.
There you go. Yeah. Charlie Adam helping us and John Eitinger refusing to do the press conference at the end for Liverpool because all his superiors have been sent off.
Yeah.
But just like on Beto, I've slated them loads on these podcasts and written them off loads. So I'm delighted he's started to prove me wrong, and always liked the fella and his attitude. I think he said, didn't he, actually, he listens to the criticism reads the criticism and uses it to inspire him. So maybe we've played a part in his revitalisation, Warren. But like,
Betto, you're awful, lad. You're terrible. There you go. Yeah. There's more motivation.
Yeah, there you go. Should have scored more. Against Liverpool. But like the thing that's mad about him, like we've only started seeing this the last few weeks because of the way we've actually started playing to his strengths. I think is like he's such an unorthodox footballer, and like I think his hold-up play was actually quite good last night, and his all-round game is quite good. But I think he is lacking, isn't he, in those parts of the game, and he's very unorthodox and really chaotic, and just the sort of bundle of chaos at the top end of the pitch. But then when you put the ball in front of him, like in front of goal, he just becomes the calmest fella in the stadium, doesn't he? And I don't know why he just transforms into this calm finisher, because like you put Calvert-Lewin in those situations and he makes it look like the most awkward thing in the world, scoring a one-on-one. Whereas you think back to the Leicester game, the 2 he scores there, one lashed across the goal, one passed into the corner, and the one last night just doesn't wait until Alisson gets close to him and then just sticking it quite near him so he's not got time to go down and react. Alisson's great in those situations usually. He makes so many saves in that situation, so it's not easy. And it's just like him in front of goal when he's in one-on-one. It's just so at odds to the rest of his game, and it's a good combination. It's a good skill to have, and I think it feels like now, having gone from being a player like he could have been on his way out in January, he's got 3 goals in his last 2 games, as we said. Like he's probably earned himself staying beyond the end. I don't know if that's too early to say, but it feels like he's maybe earned himself a chance of sticking around next season, given Calvert-Lewin's probably going to go. Broyer's injured. Chimitti's still unproven. Would you sell him now if he carries on at this level? Probably not.
Well, the biggest compliment I can give him, Matt, is he's gone from being a figure of fun and a figure of someone who we laugh at from a comedic point of view to somebody now who, like you said, is improving. It looks like with each game, and I don't think anyone will be angry or debate or feel that it's the wrong choice if he starts the next 2, 3, 4 games, whatever it is, until another striker becomes available. He is the only fit striker at the minute, and I don't have any qualms with him being in that starting 11. And he's certainly, I agree with you. I thought his hold-up play was a lot better last night, and who knows, there may be more to come from him, but he's given himself an opportunity to give himself a future at Everton, really. And I know that's quite early to say because it's only been a few games, but like you said, I mean, one-on-one, he looks so calm and composed, and Alisson's a very good goalkeeper, and I think he timed it brilliantly. It wasn't just hit it and Alisson's made the mistake, it's gone under him. He's timed it really well, that effort, and he's hit it to perfection. It's just rolled in. So I think fair play to him. I think, as I said, that's the biggest credit I can give him, is that he's gone from being someone who is being mocked by fans to somebody who is now a credible starting player.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and I think the Leicester game was such a big moment for him in that sense, because it felt like whenever fans were chanting for him or wanted to come on before then, it was like a case of, oh, he may as well. Let's get Betto on. And even when people, like when he came out to warm up and when he come on and when he did stuff on the pitch, it was always like, oh my god, this fella's mad, but he's crap. And like even when he scored, it always felt like a bit off the cuff and weird. And I remember when he came off against Leicester and the reception he got in that game, it was like it was probably the first time that people like were chanting his name and giving him a great reception, because he just played genuinely really well and scored a couple of goals and looked like a Premier League striker. And I imagine that it's a subtle distinction, I think, in terms of the reaction and how people think about you. But I imagine that would have given him loads of confidence. And again, it goes back to the manager, I think, as well, and people working with him on the training pitch and really having a look at his game and thinking where can we improve you, but how can we change our game and change our style to help you as well. So yeah, he was amazing, and I think the other player actually was amazing last night. Probably man of the match for his Branthwaite. Like just a reminder, I think, like after a bit of an up and down season, just a reminder of how good he is. He was absolutely colossal.
Yeah, and they're both going to be key, let's face it, on Saturday because of the injuries we've talked about and how tough it's going to be. And there was one key thing I heard yourself and Paddy talking about with regards to Moyes. I think Paddy said it when he said, there is going to be bumps in the road, especially this season, because it will be a process, but Moyes has given us that platform. And I think you were inferring about the mistakes made in the Bournemouth game. And Paddy was saying, about the fact that he's trying to give them this freedom to be a bit more creative and to be a bit more expressive and show us how good they are. But with that is going to come mistakes now and again. With that is going to be teething problems down the line. And I think with the injuries now mounting up, I agree with you. I think Saturday's going to be very tough. And I think if we get anything from it, we've done incredibly well with the way injuries are. But this feels like it could be a game where we could potentially see them teething problems. And I don't want to be negative about it. I just think with the fact that we've had that game last night, that's going to take a lot out of the players, the emotional side of it, that the way it finished with the injury to Ndiaye. And I always feel, I know we've got a good recent record against Crystal Palace, home and away, but I always feel with Selhurst Park, it's just awkward. It's an awkward place to get to. It's a tight ground, a bit like Goodison. It's a bit old school. Their fans are quite loud and quite noisy, and they've got a decent team, and they've done well in recent weeks, and they've got players like Mateta, and they've got other players there who are going to, match us physically, I suppose, as well. And it feels like this could be one game too far. But at the same token, Matt, it also feels like it could be a game where Everton could go in and do what we did against Brighton. So I think I think to get anything out of this Palace game will be an absolute credit to those players and the management and the coaching staff. How do you see it going on Saturday? Do you think it will be as tough as I've made out there, or do you think Everton can go there and realistically get something?
Yeah, I saw some supporters saying to tweeting Doucoure today saying, "Soon as you're suspended, you should get in the away end of Palace on Saturday." I'm sure it'd be well
I'd love that. Yeah, get him in there.
He's gone from the play before the game. Everyone was like, "Oh God, I don't want Alcaraz. I want him to be on the bench and Alcaraz to start." To being like, give him a 10-year contract. He's our greatest ever player after how he was last night. So yeah, it'd be great to see Abdoulaye in the away end with the fans.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it will be tough, but I'm also kind of looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how Harrison does and if he can step up and take his chance playing off the left hand side, where I think he was probably at his best for Leeds. Really, he's pretty much played exclusively on the right for us, hasn't he? And I'm looking forward to seeing Alcaraz if he starts as well, and how he goes in the Premier League. And maybe Irabuna if he plays as well. I thought he did quite well when he came on last night. I think he did quite well against Bournemouth when he came on as well last night. So it's it's one of them, isn't it? Like I think it's going to be really difficult, and like as much as Moyes has done well with this squad, it's getting ridiculous the amount we're stretched to. I sort of think like just them two coming in and freshening us up a little bit will give us something a little bit different and a little bit extra. Obviously, losing Ndiaye is going to be a massive blow. And I think we've probably got just enough in us to get over the line for a draw on Saturday. Just like you said, Palace. I imagine Palace will be looking at us coming to Selhurst Park, thinking, "Oh no, not them," because they haven't beat us there for a long time, have they? Obviously, we won 3-2 there last year, didn't we? Like it always feels like these games are either 0-0 or 3-2. Either way.
That was just before the points deduction last year, wasn't it? When we got the result there, and we were on a bit of a high, and we were I think we were 10th or 11th at the time, and then we got slapped with the points deduction and put us right
winner.
Yeah, random player to score a winning goal. Yeah, I always
scored after like a minute, didn't he, as well? Like,
yeah, we 2-1 up and then 2-2 and then 3. Anyway, but it just, as I say, they just always feel like an awkward team to me. But we have got a good recent record, and we are maybe potentially being a little bit of a bogey team for them. So hopefully that continues. But yeah, I think it'll be tough on Saturday. But if we can get anything, I think that would be. I mean, I would take a point just with the context of the way injuries are at the moment. But if we can get anything, I think that'll be a magnificent result. So,
it's but big game for O'Brien as well. Go back to his former club.
Absolutely, yeah, and I thought he was another player who did okay last night again, and I think he's done all right. But I just think you said something really key there, Matt, and we'll finish off with this as well. You're looking forward to it. We're all looking forward to it again, and we've got United on the horizon, 12:30 kickoff at Goodison again in a week's time, and we're going into these games now looking forward to them, aren't we? And I think we all understand and know that Everton have limitations via the squad and the money spent, and we could do a whole show on that, of course we could, but I think a lot of fans understand the context of this Everton team at the minute, and to go from not having money to spend and injuries and all this to actually going, no, I'm looking forward to watching us. I mean, I think that's just great in itself, because we weren't always like that this season. So I think you said that there, and I think that's so key. I think everyone will be looking forward to this, won't they?
Yeah, and it's not because like we're amazing necessarily, is it? It's just I think all we wanted from this last season at Goodison was just a bit of purpose, wasn't it? Like a few moments, because let's be honest, the previous manager did gaslight us in that sense, the way in which he talked it down and talked about fans wanting European football. That was all absolute nonsense, wasn't it? Like I think, like I said last night, if we got beat 2-1 last night, I don't think anyone on that ground is booing them off or kicking off because we've not won the last minute, or not got anything in the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. Everyone would have been gutted, obviously, but you're going away thinking, do you know what? We had a really good go there, and there were so many times this season at home, especially. And you think back to some of the games, Jesus Christ, that Brentford one and Forest, Fulham, yeah, just getting passed off the park by like all right sides and not even laying a glove on, not even getting close to scoring a goal. Whereas now it's like it's not perfect, it's not always pretty, but there's an idea of what we're about and an idea how we're going to create chances and how we're going to actually score goals. And And that is all you want, isn't it? And listen, we've got, was there 6 more games to go at Goodison now, which is mad.
6,
Like, that
yeah.
is mad to even think about. And there'll probably be a couple which are a bit shit, but I'd imagine for the most of them, we'll be up and at it. We'll be giving a go. We'll be creating chances, trying to score goals, trying to win the games, and that's what Moyes has done. Like, he's not like a reckless attacking manager who's got us playing incredible football, but it's right. We'll have a go at these. We'll try and win the game, and that wasn't there before. So yeah, I think, I imagine everyone going down there on Saturday will be having a great time. Everyone will be on the AL. Everyone will be singing their heads off in the away end.
Yeah.
And let's hope they can do it. I think Alcaraz was hilarious last night, wasn't he? The way in which he sensed the kickoff was going to come and was over there
straight
first.
there. I love it. But we
Yeah.
talked, I mean, I don't want to go too much into it because we'll do, again, more shows on this, but we talk about recruitment and we talk about characters of players and signing the right player. And to be in your second appearance and you're getting stuck in already, I think that says a lot about him. And hopefully there'll be more to come from him on the pitch because we certainly need it, as we said, with these injuries.
If you go back and watch the goal, which I have many times, like it's chaos, and like I think most of our passes we play in the build up to it are quite bad, and it just somehow ends up to Tarkowski. But he plays a really good pass, I think, out to I can't think who it is now, but it's like the only good pass in the movie.
Was it Harrison? Was it Harrison?
Yeah.
I think he played it out to. Yeah.
So I think he's shown, hasn't he? I think he struggled to get into the game. I think he played wide for a bit when he came on initially last night, didn't he? Didn't quite get into it. But he's shown bits and pieces. And listen, the fact he was straight over there, backing his teammate up in Doucoure, let's be honest, started that entire thing. It's great,
Brilliant.
isn't it? He's one of us already, which is lovely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, listen, we'll leave it there, Max. I know you've got a few things to do this evening, but just to round off before we do finish, as Matt always says, however you listen to us, whether that's Spotify, Apple, or whatever you get your podcasts, give us a subscribe on there, give us a like, give us a review. If you're watching us on YouTube as well, give us a like on there and subscribe to us there as well. Every little helps. I know, Matt, as well, am I right in saying that a few people have been in the Bridewell recently after you mentioned us on the byline? A few more people have gone down there recently for a pint in town and things, You're
down there, or obviously the Denby as well, which sounded wild last night on the post-match. I haven't listened to it. Do let them know what you heard about them. But, But yeah, it's good to see people taking up our advice. I might not know loads about Everton, but I definitely know Liverpool pubs. So that's definitely something you can count on.
A lot of us know well on that. We're experts on that, definitely. We're not experts on anything else. But yeah, as Matt always says as well, and as I've said on this show too, give us any like, review, subscribe. You can. Every little helps. And then coming up on the Blue Room, we've got obviously post-match again on Saturday after the Palace game. Me and Les and I think Ed McCosh are going to be doing mailbag this week. And then Blue Monday will be back with Dave, Les and Roger. And Matt, yourself, will be back with Paddy for the excellent byline. I always say as well, if you're a listener to Weekly and you haven't given the byline a listen yet, it's absolutely brilliant. Brilliant insight from the lads. And not so much for the football, but more for the shirt numbers. That's why we all listen, to see which player is the shirt number for that week. So if you don't give it a listen for anything else, give it a listen for that. But yeah, as always, lots more coming up on the Blue Room as we move into the Palace game and beyond. So that's been me. My thanks to Matt. And we will speak to you again soon. Up those Derby rattling toffees.